We all knew it was coming. We all knew the government wouldn't win. And we all knew that the Supreme Court would do what the Supreme Court always does. Hello, you wrong, and please don't shoot the messenger. Supreme Court ruling, not mine. I'm just bringing it to you for your entertainment and premise. So, the government's Rwanda appeal and cross appeal has been dismissed by 5 on the Supreme Court Council ruling. Now, little Rishi, who can't see above my desk, in fact I am wondering what he's doing underneath my desk, but joggy height, Richboy sunk, we always knew he was. He's going to give a press conference this afternoon at 4:45, 16:45 if you're in the military, or 17:45 if you're anywhere in Europe, because I'm sure the Europeans are watching. It's just going to be full of mealy-mouthed politicking. As I have said before, an unelected Prime Minister appointing an unelected Foreign Minister. I wonder what those two are up to. Well, the pair of them can foxtrot Oscar with their onky little friends. There is a reason why we call putting their snouts in the trough. Especially call me Dave. We've seen today's judgment and will consider our next steps. That's straight out of number 10. Now, it's not going to be from the Prime Minister. It's not. It's going to be from somebody in there that happens to have a clipboard. Don't worry, Prime Minister. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. Mealy-mouthed politicking. It's not the outcome we wanted, says the Prime Minister's office. Not the outcome we wanted. Who's the we? Is it the royal we? Is it you and the king, Richboy? Or is it you and Suella, the one that you sacked? Or is it you and the people? It's definitely not you and the people. So, he says, the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal and High Court have confirmed that the principle of sending illegal migrants to a safe third country for processing is lawful. So how much are you going to pay, Richboy, to have a third country process our illegals? Seemingly, they're running at about $500,000 a year. So, how much does that cost to send them to a third country? $500,000 a year, Richboy. It's just all BS. The namby-pamby pinko liberals have taken over the world. They've taken over, and now we can't even control our borders. Lord Reid was the president of the Supreme Court, and he says that their decision was based entirely on the evidence and legal principles. Well, hang on a second. Surely we, the people, can decide on the legal principles. Never trust a barrister. Never trust a lawyer, because they're only ever in it for themselves. There's no integrity. There's no decency in the legal profession. None. Zero. Zip. Nix. Nada. Barristers? My brown stuff's more intelligent than that lot. In fact, they're all in the Pink Palace. All the barrister clowns become clowns in Clown World Office, otherwise known as the House of Commons. They're all saying, stop the boats. Which ones? Which ones? The military boats that float up and down the North Sea? Or the little boats that come over from France? So, how do we stop the boats? We've got a couple of options. I'd love to know what you think we should do in the comments, please. 1, put our military in the channel. You see a boat, open fire. Option number 1. Option number 2, put our military boats in the channel and open fire on the French, because that's where they're coming from. It's the quickest way to get from the European landmass into little old Great Britain Island. Stop them in France. It's very easy to stop the boats. Don't let them enter the water. let's go to war with France. Because they've got no spine. They haven't. We had to go and save them from the Germans in the Second World War. The French stopping the illegals. Let's go to war with France, man. It's easy. It would only take us 24 hours. We could stop off at the, I don't know, Bordeaux, say, and have our lunch. And by tea time, we'd be in Paris running France. Then we could stop them. I mean, it's not a first for us running France and ruling France. But I know that I'm kind of cartooning it up and I'm being really serious. What is the answer to this? Because the politicians don't know the answer. Obviously, we can't use our military because that will be murder. And we can't go and take France because that will be fun. It will be funny. Can you imagine the French? Our army saved them last time. Our army would teach them a lesson this time. I mean, every president in France has had to have a mistress. What is that all about? What, they not got any men there? Oxfam have come out and said, it's great relief. How much is Oxfam? How much profit is Oxfam making? It's it's a great relief for many, calling it an inhumane scheme, send them off to Rwanda. Well, hang on a second. If Richboy has said that as long as we find a third country that has a good human rights record, we can send them there. Tell you what, Scotland, there's an answer. Don't stop them in France. Let them come into Kent. Let them come into King's Cross. Let's put them on trains and send them up to Scotland, because the Scots won't mess about. The Scots will deal with them, and they'll deal with them appropriately and proportionately, but not the First Minister, because he wouldn't want them. They're not from Gaza. So we could send them up to Scotland. Don't send them to Wales. There's now in Wales. Tie a sheep to a lamppost, that's considered a... No, Adrian, don't do that. I won't. But the Welsh are good people. They wouldn't stand for it either. Oh, send the boys down from the valleys. Send them down to Cardiff. Let them land in Cardiff and let them the locals deal with them, because the locals wouldn't deal with them. I'm telling you, I've lived with them. Fantastic people, the Welsh. So the general consensus is, and I'm feeling a bit of a rant here because it's so brassing me off. The ineptitude of clown world is breathtaking. The mealy-mouthed politicking from the idiots is breathtaking. So they're saying, well, we should ditch the European Convention on Human Rights or the Human Rights Act. The government doesn't want we voters to know why our borders are a joke, because they are. Even James Cleverly, first words out of his mouth, and I'll say it again, how can you tell when a politician's lying? It's his lips move. So James Cleverly comes out and goes, we're going to stop the boats. Mate, you can't. You can't. Not if the Supreme Court is telling you. You can't. And then cockeyed Richboy says, no, and I'll do a press conference 5:15 this afternoon. Yeah, I'll finish early. I'll go and do a press conference and then I'm off with the missus. We'll go and see the King, because we knew him, you know. It's his 75th birthday yesterday. Foxtrot Oscar, you absolute... The thick and the stupid. Sorry, get this right. The wise and the stupid. Bunch of twats. We have no power. None. Look, Ted Heath, Tony Blair, Treaties of Nice, Treaties of Rome. What, you've never heard of them before? You need to read them. And you thought Tony Blair was a nice guy. Ted Heath. Rum, bum and backy, that boy. So is the first rule of government security from violence? They need to keep their subjects, because you know this bloke that's just taken over the monarchy, the crown. A, needs a haircut. Oh, him on Charles. You look a proper mess. Get your bloody barnet sorted, and then we might respect you. And secondly, it's his government. He told us it was his government. He was going to appoint his government, and then he sat there and said, this is what we're going to do. In his speech, this is what we're going to do, because my government had told me to say this. He's just a titular head. The power's not with him, seemingly. And you need to be careful, because if you dissent, they'll lock you down again. What? You thought that was for real. It's just a practice, man. It's a globalist agenda. Don't you know that? Today is evidence that me and you, the royal we, have no control. Because what Europe wanted control of, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, they wanted control of our army, and they kind of do. They wanted control of our police forces. Schengen Agreement, anybody? Because the Schengen Agreement was in place until we left the European Union. The one is back in. But Interpol have exactly the same agreement. So Schengen was just a word, and it didn't mean anything. But I will warn you this. We're not far away from a general election. It's at a year at the most. It'll be October, November, at the very outside. So unless you're dim, thick, or literally have the brain the size of a pea and an IQ point to match it, they're going to campaign on stopping the votes. We're going to stop the votes. We're going to stop the votes. Vote for us and we'll stop the votes. Look, they've had 13 bloody years, man, these idiots. They think we're thick. Yeah, what we'll do, if you vote for us, we'll leave the European Convention on Human Rights and we'll amend the Human Rights Act. So what you'll do is you'll go, oh, he's got a nice tie on. Yeah, I'll vote for him. And the friend of the pigs, the youngster, call me Dave. We elect them and then just wait for the lies. Because they've told us, for as long as we can remember, we'll stop the votes, and they haven't. We'll put them on the Bibi Stockholm. Oh, 20-odd people on there now. It can house 500. 20-odd people. It was obvious that there was going to be something wrong with it when they brought it into port. Do you know our soldiers in the Falklands? Their accommodation is something similar. So our forces, our military, are being given the same accommodation as asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, the economic migrants that come onto this sceptred isle, and they're not even putting them on the Bibi Stockholm. Money washing, anyone? And look, as I keep telling you, whoever we vote for, the government gets in. So don't expect anything more from any bunch of clowns that happens to get into power after the next general election. Don't be silly. Doesn't matter who you vote for. They're just in it for themselves. They're just in it for putting that in the trough and getting as much money out as possible. They're all part of the system. They don't want you to benefit. They don't want us, the collective we, for the common good, to have any benefit whatsoever other than, oh, by the way, what's this other clown that used to work for a telly channel, that used to work for like a radio and telly channel, and she's resigned today because she's going to become head of wokery or anti-wokery, or going to be common sense. They wouldn't know common sense if it stood up and bit their nose off. They're just in it for themselves. So she's been appointed a minister. A minister. And I thought they had a funny collar on and gave sermons every Sunday. She's a minister. So, oh, ditch me media stuff. The stuff that got me profiled. Now I'm back in government. Hurrah! I've got a portfolio. Me too. Crayon drawings. They're more intelligent than what's in government now. Oh, listen, I've had enough of this ranting. I wish I could just get you to realise they are clowns. We've seen today's judgment and we'll consider next steps. Oh, no, shit, Sherlock. Foxtrot Oscar, Richboy. We've seen through you. We've seen through you clowns. And what happens if there's ever a mistake in the circus? Send in the clowns. And they are just a distraction. They are the clowns from the military-industrial complex while they are pocketing corrupt pounds.